Thank you for watching True Crime Time. For tonight's video, I did want to talk about two errors that are in the warrant and explain what those errors were meant to say. And then I want to take you inside the crime scene to the second floor because I have some questions about what happened there, and I really want to know what everybody thinks about this. This is something I haven't heard anybody talking about, so I'm really interested to hear what your thoughts are. I want to show you two scenarios on what could have happened and then hear what you have to say about which one would be more likely. Before I get started, I do want to take a moment to mention my sponsor, DataSeal. Everyone, securing your personal information is more important now than ever. It's really easy for anyone to look up information like your home address, your date of birth, your phone number, even your voting preferences. There's a company I want to tell you about called DataSeal. They're a law enforcement grade data removal solution, and they're the ones that I trust, so I wanted to share the link below. You can go there and get a free privacy scan to see how much of your family's personal information is exposed. DataSeal is super easy to use. You just sign up and they do all the work for you and keep your information protected. Alright, so the first error that I want to talk about in the warrant is the part where they're talking about how the footprint was discovered during the second visit to the crime scene. They used a presumptive blood test and then what they called amino black, a protein stain that detects the presence of cellular material. Now, that's a general statement of what it does, but it's actually not called amino black. It's called amido black with a D. It looks like we have a typo here, and it was probably one department communicating with another department, and the person who was writing down the information didn't necessarily have the same understanding as the person telling the information, and so they wrote amino black when they were probably told amido black. So let's look really quick at what amido black is. So amido black would be used in situations where they were looking for blood evidence that wasn't necessarily able to be seen through direct photography. Now, it doesn't necessarily detect blood, it detects a protein. So the protein could be present in other body fluids in addition to blood. So it's not saying that it's blood, it's not confirming that it's blood in any way, but it is detecting something there. And there could be other footprints in the house that just weren't mentioned in what was released to the public. They're only going to release the minimum amount, so it wouldn't surprise me if they had more than just one footprint at the scene. Now, the other error that has created some confusion is the part of the warrant where it says the Idaho State Lab located a single source of male DNA. They're not necessarily referring to them finding a single spot of DNA on the knife sheath. What they're actually saying here is they located single source DNA. And what that means is there could even be multiple sources of DNA on the knife sheath, but they were able to determine a single source of male DNA. So there was enough DNA on there from a primary source for them to determine who that was. They can tell when there's a mix of DNA on something, and they can tell what the primary source is. They can kind of tell what the secondary source is. So if you were to shake hands with me and I were to touch a doorknob, I would be the primary source, and they would be able to tell the difference. So the same thing on the knife sheath. It doesn't necessarily mean that it was just on the button. It doesn't necessarily mean that it was only just Bryan's DNA. It could have even been another person's DNA on there, but the primary source was Bryan. It was the dominant source per se of the DNA. So that's kind of what that means when they were saying the single source of male DNA. It's actually single source DNA, which is a pretty solid match to somebody handling that knife sheath. Alright, so let's head over to the crime scene because I really want to show you what I was talking about with what happened on the second floor regarding Xana and Ethan. So we'll start with the idea that Bryan would have entered through the back sliding glass door. He would have made his way over to the stairs up to the third floor where Maddie and Kaylee were attacked. After those attacks, Bryan would have went back downstairs, and at this point he would have had the option to escape out the back door on his left or go to his right where Xana and Ethan were found. Now, we haven't heard anything about any of the blood being found in the kitchen area or of any attacks happening in the kitchen area. So it makes me wonder, if Bryan had come down those stairs, what made him turn right? What made him go over to that hallway if his intention was to escape? If he had come down the stairs and Xana came around the corner, he could have still escaped. He could have still gone to his left and gotten out. She wouldn't have chased him and stopped him. So he chose to turn right and chase her down into that hallway. So unless he was concerned that she was going to be a witness, but if he had a mask on and she didn't know who he was, why would he be concerned about that when his escape is just feet away? All he has to do is turn left and he's out. Even if the attack with Xana started in the kitchen, he could have attacked and then still escaped if his intention was to escape. So his intention had to have been to attack her, right? Even if he saw her, he still could have ran. Now, the question is, did he attack her because he was concerned that she was a witness? Or did he attack her because he had planned on attacking her? I mean, here he is at the bottom of the stairs, and to his left is his escape, and to his right is Xana in the hallway. He's going to give up his escape, go to the right, and begin a whole nother attack on another person in the house. If Xana had just seen a masked intruder coming down the stairs, he could have just fled and he didn't have to attack her. So, for whatever reason, whether he felt she was a witness or whether she was a target, he chose to turn right and go down to that hallway, I believe. Now keep in mind, after the attack of Xana and Ethan, Bryan saw another witness and just left the house and made his escape. His mission had been accomplished at that point. Bryan could have just ran out that door when he saw her. He didn't have to chase her down in the hallway. If she was a witness, what would she have seen that would have caused him to abandon his escape and risk everything and attack another person if she wasn't a target? Now, another scenario is the idea that Ethan could have been the one who came around the corner and saw Bryan. So if Bryan were at the bottom of the stairs and he saw Ethan standing there, Bryan would have had the decision to escape out the door or fight with Ethan. Well, why would Bryan choose to fight with Ethan when he could just escape? He would only fight with Ethan if Ethan were preventing his escape or if he were trying to get through Ethan and get to Xana. So even in the scenario of Bryan encountering Ethan first, it still supports the idea that Xana would have been a target. Because if Xana was not a target, as soon as Bryan was done fighting with Ethan, he would have escaped. But he didn't, because Xana was also attacked. So after Ethan was attacked, Bryan chose to attack Xana in that scenario. Again, I do think it's more likely that Xana was the one who came around the corner of the hallway, encountered Bryan, and then from there Bryan chased her into that hallway where the attack started. The question is, did Bryan attack her because she was simply a witness, or did Bryan attack Xana because she was a target? Everyone, thank you for watching. Please let me know what you think in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe. My next video will be coming out very soon, and you don't want to miss it.